I think we are live, guys.
Ooh.
I think we are live. I don't know. I'm just playing around.
It says live, 10
It's-
seconds.
It does say live. Hello. Greetings, welcome, salutations, everyone. Welcome to the Pioneer live excursion of the Xbox Expansion Pass. This is our Xbox wrap-up community episode. This is available for any patron of the show to join in and participate in once a month. I am joined by several of our amazing supporters for XEP, not the least of which is one Captain Logan, my standard co-host. Hello, Captain.
Hi, everybody.
All right, new people.
We should end stream right here.
There we go. Glad we're doing that. Oh, it's good to have you, sir. We are joined once again by Mr. Silkenet, aka the French one. I have questions.
We are joined.
I'm French.
Somebody's got
What
to mute.
can I say?
Sorry, that was me. I'm sorry.
Oh, there it is. There
My
it is.
goodness.
Here you go. Silkenet, how are you?
I'm
Teething
good.
problems.
I'm good.
Yes,
It was a good March for games and JRPGs.
It was a really good month in general. The Game Pass certainly delivered. I was really impressed with that one.
And the new lineup's really good too.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
Big time. I'm anxious to hear. I'm sure you guys are going to try a JRPG takeover, so we will
Of
see
course.
Maybe.
just what that looks like. Oh boy.
You'll know if I fall asleep. That's the best way to tell.
There you go. There you go. We are also joined by Rick, aka Butch4969. I did it every month. Every month. Rick, how are you, man?
I'm good, Luke. How you doing?
I'm good, man. It's good to have you here once again. You are part of this JRPG takeover, I assume, correct?
I think I'm spearheading it, actually.
I think you are too. I think you are too, my friend. We are also joined by one of the hosts of Project X Talk, Mr. Jam Pack Sam. Hello, how are you?
What's up? I'm doing well. If we're talking about JRPGs, I'll sit in silence and listen for most of the episode, but I'm happy to be present and surrounded by good people. So thank you for the invite.
It's 3v3 here. I think it's 3v3. We got the normies and then them. So we'll see what kind of
Wow.
happens to them. Yeah, you know. And Clint Coombs, we
How we
are
doing?
joined by you once again. You are under attack from Godzilla, it seems.
Every day.
All right. Well, there you
Is
go.
it under attack or is it just a nice cuddle?
He does look like he's just reached a little, giving me some support.
Yeah.
It's emotional, and I appreciate that. I got to tell you, I've thoroughly gotten into the whole MonsterVerse lately. I have been watching a lot of the Godzilla and King Kong movies. I started with Skull Island. I'm all the way up to where I need to go to the theater to see the new movie and watch Monarch. That's where I'm at.
Nice.
That's where I am. Have any of you guys gone to see it yet?
Yeah. I went and saw it on Friday night.
How was it?
It's exactly what you paid for. It's just dumb monsters destroying everything. Human plot is out the window, but the CGI is good. The action is awesome, and you get to see Godzilla suplex King Kong. I mean, can't go
I'm
wrong.
here for it. That makes me very happy to hear because I've gotten way into MonsterVerse. I just needed something to get into, and I, as Logan knows, I get into something and I just go hard. So that's just where I'm at. It's just where I'm at. I wish I hadn't said it like that. Wish I had not stated those words in that way. So here we are.
I'm gonna clip that one just a second.
Yep, that makes sense. Well, I'm excited that you guys are here because this is the first live episode. We just made the switch over to StreamYard, and you guys are helping me kind of pioneer and work through the kinks of hosting a live version of the show ahead of XEP doing its main thing this coming Saturday, which will be, for anyone that's watching this later on or in the chat, XEP will now be on Saturdays at 12 p.m. EST, 9 a.m. PST on Saturdays every Saturday. So that's pretty cool. This is kind of the next step in growing XEP, and I'm really excited about that. And I appreciate you guys for being along for the ride.
Oh, definitely.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sounds like
guys,
I've been here. I've
it
been
does.
here to do that. It's not as big a deal as you're trying to make it out to be, Luke.
It's a big deal to me. I never thought we'd have the show go live ever. So that's a pretty cool thing for me. We started XEP in 2019, and so it's doing pretty well. I didn't realize it had been that long until the other day. So pretty
Time
stoked.
flies.
It does. It does. Well, guys, what have you all been playing in the month of March? We always like to bring something to the table in our community episodes. I know for me, it's been a lot of Call of Duty and Suicide Squad, and I'll get to that but I feel like there are more interesting topics to broach. What you got for me?
Rebirth, baby.
Final Fantasy?
Rebirth.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. A lot of Final
Well,
Fantasy,
for
a lot of
me-
JRPGs.
Yeah,
Of
for me,
the,
Rebirth took me a week because I took days off, so I really flew through it. But Dragon's Dogma 2 was the bigger one for me.
How much time have you put in Dragon's Dogma 2?
So I finished Sunday, and I clocked in at 35 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I had still a lot of the map not explored
Mm-hmm.
because the main quest don't push you there. So if you don't go there by yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you won't see it. But I got the true ending, and now I'm on New Game Plus, just running around. I just don't care about the quest now.
Mm-hmm.
Time quest about a guy that's going to die from harpies. Let him die.
What system are you playing? Are you on PC, PlayStation, Xbox?
On PC.
You're on PC. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm on
Gotcha.
PlayStation.
So performance-wise, it's good all over except the cities. Too much
Gotcha.
NPCs. But apart from that, it's no problem from me.
Someone's TV or background is coming through.
Yep.
Hearing-
That might be mine.
Oh, come on, Clint. Do better. Do better. It's still something.
Oh,
still
no.
It's getting worse by the second.
Yeah, it's getting worse. Like whatever it is. Now we know
Oh,
what
that.
animes you watch.
That's not anime.
Better.
Is
Uh-oh.
that better?
Yeah, it's better now.
I think
Alright.
that's better. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I jumped into Dragon's Dogma, started playing it. We were fortunate to get a review code early, and I actually bounced off pretty quickly. It got overwhelming too fast, and I am someone who put 20, 30, 40 hours into Dark Arisen way back when. Like I put in the time on the original Dragon's Dogma, but I found that this one, it maybe didn't catch me in the right mood at the right time. We talk about that a lot on XEP, that like, it's not to say that you don't like it. It's just maybe not in the right mindset for it. But I did not click with Dragon's Dogma early on. I actually got pretty frustrated with the amount of systems that happened.
Yeah, it's a weird game in today's time. It does its thing its way. But yeah, I mean, it's probably a mood thing because it's really just Dragon's Dogma, the first one, but update graphics and
Yeah.
more smoother controls.
That was what I noticed too. How much time have you put in, Clint?
I've only put in probably about 5 hours, probably. And on PC as well. Mine runs pretty good, but yeah, same thing. It's more of the first one. There's not much more to it other than it's a little bit smoother. Pawns seem to be much better than they were in the first one.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's not a huge change really. It's just more, if you liked the first one, it's more the first one.
The pawn system to me caught me off guard because I didn't really I used the pawn system in the first one, but this one, the searching ability, the amount of help they do was immediately evident, and I was invested in my pawns immediately, whereas in the last game I had to like ease my way into it, if that makes sense. Did you guys find something similar?
I actually didn't think it was all that different than the first ones. Like you can do you send them on a mission or something like that now, which was new. But other than that, I actually didn't think it was all that different. What it might be is this is sold significantly better than the first one, I believe. So you probably have a whole lot more people that have played it, and thus the pawns you're getting probably have more experience with the missions and stuff like that than what they did before. Maybe that's what the difference was.
Yeah, and they have like Capcom created pawns for the start.
Mhm.
Right, that is me. Yeah, you're right. That's me too.
Yeah. So you're sure to get at least one pawn that will be helpful right off the bat. So
Did anybody else want to say anything on Dragon's Dogma? Because I really got hooked on the combat. I really like the combat. so
yeah, it's a hard game to recommend to everyone, but if you really want to have a kind of a Skyrim experience but with better combat and a lot more choices in your combat, because you can go from a mage to melee to range, like not instantly because you need to go to go back to a town, but and all the moves are really varied, and yeah, you have like a lot of diversity.
Mhm.
What I
Yeah.
like is unlike other games of that similar ilk, is they do every kind of combat well. You know, a lot of them that do melee well. Maybe the archery's lame, or the magic sucks. If the magic's good, maybe the melee is not good. They actually do all of them well here. Like each class type is actually quite cool to play.
I started off as a fighter, and then I found that no, let me rephrase that. I started off as an archer, and I immediately did not like it, so I switched to fighter very quickly and set up my pawns to do range, and having myself be able to kind of do the main combat, and then my pawns in support classes. That seemed to me to be absolutely the way to go, and I loved their commentary as I went. All my pawns in one instance were women, and they commented on it. They commented that one was a healer, but we had a different vocation than an archer. They talked to each other, and then they would give each other dap whenever they walked close by. I thought that was fun. That was amusing to me.
Yeah, the pawns back and forth talking is really good. And I actually did the exact opposite, where I started as fighter or a thief, I think, did not really click that well. And then I went to a ranged and had all my pawns, up front. And I love that. That's what I've been sticking with.
Logan, you've been playing too? Did you bounce off of it?
I did. I put about 6 hours into it, and the story is interesting enough for now, but I'm just not really like, I don't know. I'm starting to wonder if maybe I'm just not into fantasy as much as I think I am, because I'm just not finding a reason to really like get drawn back into it. I really like the way the world looks. I'm getting used to the whole pawn system now that I have like 2 mages, given that I'm an archer and I have my pawn is a like a tank. I'm getting used to like the idea of having like a couple of other pawns and just keeping those healers kind of added to the group. But I don't really like the way the fatigue system works, where the longer you're out and about, the less health you kind of have. Like you have to eventually go back and find a town and rest. And there's a lot of systems that honestly just feel like they are just adding to the complexity without really giving any value, if that makes sense. Like I don't really see why there's so many systems in place where they could have just simplified a lot of this and had it pushed through as less of an RPG than it really needed to be. Because I think most of the stuff that I'm seeing is just cool clips of fights and not really anyone trying to find the meta with the pawns. I haven't seen like any videos on YouTube really being like, these are the best pawns to go for this build, or this is the best build for this, or anything like. And that's usually the thing that I'll notice with other games that have like metas, where you go into like, okay, well, if you're playing Destiny 2, this is going to be the best way to build your gear set. I don't really see that with Dogma 2, so I'm not sure if that's something that's been a focus for a lot of folks. Could just be the algorithm working against me in that case. But a lot of like the shorts or the digestible content's always been like, the Griffin seems to be the thing that everyone latches onto and posts about how cool it was to engage with a Griffin in the world. So I think that they could have maybe stripped out some of the systems that they have in place to try and gather a larger base. I think we were talking about this the other day about how some of the games that I think really do well are ones that just give you the ability to shoot something and then add flavor on top of it. And I think that Dogma goes a little deeper than I would prefer it to, for me to really get hooked on it.
I agree with that, but then you look at Baldur's Gate, which just dropped to more systems than I've ever seen in a game ever. And that is extremely successful. And so I wonder if it's not a marketing element, because Dragon's Dogma walks this weird line between Skyrim and Monster Hunter, I think. And you get some of the best moments of both in there.
Yeah, but I think the reason why Baldur's Gate is done so much better is, and I'm going to be real honest about it, I think it's the fact that you can sex up your party members more. And I don't think that Dragon's Dogma offers. If it does offer it, I haven't seen anyone
Does
talk
a
about
bit,
that.
But
We'll wait till the mods come out.
no, you have romance. You have like affection
romance,
levels, and
but
you
I
have
don't
like a pleasure house somewhere.
I don't know. It seemed like everyone was talking about bears when Baldur's Gate came out, and it dabbled in the odd, and I think that really sparked conversation and drew interest in a way that I don't see with Dragon's Dogma. And you know, I mean, like one of the other, well, what was it? What's the Stellar Blade came out
Bosom
Friday.
Blade?
I'm sorry, Bosom Blade.
Bosom Blade.
Bosom Blade.
My point exactly. Thank you for proving my point. So yes, I think that in both in media, whether it be video games or movies or TV, sex sells. And at this point, I think that the reason why Baldur's Gate is doing well is partially because it's a really good game, partially because it was marketed really well, partially because the zeitgeist around like what you can do in that game really kicked up. Dragon's Dogma doesn't feel like it has all of those elements, which is why I'm not seeing like as much zeitgeist around it on social media. I know it's got a lot of guides out there, but I'm not seeing it latch on the way it feels like maybe Baldur's Gate was able to.
I kind of half agree with you there. There's no doubt that when Larian talked about or rather in the trailer showed the bear sex thing, like the internet ran crazy with that, and there is no doubt that elevated that game. But in terms of why it remained successful and in the zeitgeist, I actually believe that had way more to do with just the immense way that it can play out 1,000 different ways for 5 different people. Like when people really discovered how much it branches, and it's not just really like surface level, like it's actually pretty remarkable how different it changes. That kind of really, push people like, oh wow, I can actually not write my own story, but you know what I mean? Like I can actually make my own decisions, and it genuinely changes what happens.
I do agree with that point, because I think that was what really turned a lot of people on with Zelda Breath of the Wild is that it felt like a lot of people had very unique stories when playing through that game, and the discoverability of little things that were kind of not really just handed to you from the get-go really seemed to intrigue a lot of the people on social media, and just insights and talking about like what they found, what they didn't find, what they were able to do, and things like that.
You're talking about like emergent gameplay, more or less. Am I right?
Yes, but there has to be certain things that are interesting about that draw people in. Like you can't just have cool stuff hidden away, because I mean Armored Core 6 had cool stuff hidden away that I don't ever see anyone really talk about, but that's also a really polished From Software game. I would say like Elden Ring, I've seen some of that a little bit. Like there was a little bit of discovery about the weird stuff that people were able to find there as well too. But it doesn't feel like Dragon's Dogma really has like quite nailed that. It's hard to kind of like encapsulate what the secret sauce is.
I think there's a niche element that Dragon's Dogma was always kind of this side hustle that gamers really enjoyed when they were willing to go discover it, but it wasn't the main thing. It was never Capcom's main deal, and it got mainline spotlight in this past month. And there are ways to build your character. There are a lot of diverse ways to solve problems. It's not just go kill this. There's a lot of elements with magic and I don't know if theory crafting is the right thing, but ways to design your character and pawn system. I think there's a lot of that. I think much of it has yet to be discovered. And March to me was dominated by other stories. The arrival of Warzone Mobile was a big deal. They had so many millions of people pre in on that one. Then you had the comments in the Xbox community about a handheld, which is something I'm going to ask you guys about tonight. There were a lot of other things happening. Stellar Blade was getting a lot of spotlight, and then there was a lot of the diversity, equity, and inclusion content that was making its round at the same time that Dragon's Dogma would have been in the zeitgeist. And I think that took attention. All those things, I think, collectively took attention away from what I think is a very good game. Like I really do enjoy it. It's just not one that I'm ready to deal with right now because I was expecting more people to be talking about the frame rates, the bosses, the level design, the open world, the way it interacts. Because one of my favorite moments happened dynamically in my time with it, which is I was battling an ogre. We kited him over to a cliff, shoved him into water. The brine took him down, and we got the XP. It was like this really cool, incredible thing that I don't think enough people got to experience or see or talk about because attention was just elsewhere in social spaces. But I mean, Capcom put out sales numbers recently. I don't have them right in front of me, but it
2.5 million.
2.5 million seems like a
That's
pretty
pretty
good deal.
good. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
for
it's
that.
solid for that.
Yeah, and it hadn't even been a month. So
Mhm.
I feel like Dragon's Dogma is going to be a longer tailed game as opposed to a hit big and explode type thing. I mean, Sam, you've been awfully quiet. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I always like to. I haven't played it personally, but what I did play a little bit in March was the first couple of hours of the original Dragon's Dogma, just to get a taste of what it was. Ironically, one of my pawns was you, Luke, because
Really?
you were one of the only people on my list that had actually played it. So as I got into the game, I've got like level 3, level 4, level 16 pawn coming in hot with InsipidGhost on the friends list.
All right.
So I was appreciative of that, but I think it's really interesting about the discourse and the conversation online, and it's changed so much in the past couple of years, especially with the way that Twitter in particular has changed, because that's how I gauged what people were talking about. That was kind of like the community hub, and now it's harder to tell what really is truly driving conversation versus what's like a minority of people. That's why I love the Discord, because you can see what people are actually like. The people that I connect with are thinking about and talking about. But I do think that maybe some of these games that are coming out, like Baldur's Gate 3 is a bit of an anomaly because no one thought that it was going to be the game that it was, where it took off in the way that it did. And Dragon's Dogma 2 kind of had that same DNA of it could be a big hit, even though no one's really expecting it. So it's just hard to predict what really is going to be that moment in time where it's like, for some reason, that popped off. And for Dragon's Dogma 2, from what you guys are saying, from what I'm seeing, it's more of Dragon's Dogma. And that's fine for the clearly 2.5 million people that wanted more Dragon's Dogma, or that wanted to get in for the first time. But if it doesn't have that same fuel of Baldur's Gate 3, nothing wrong with that. Like you guys said, 2.5 million in the first month for Dragon's Dogma 2, a game that people didn't think would even come out. I mean, that's pretty good, you know?
I thought so too. I felt like that too. And I'm curious as we see like patches and optimizations if it doesn't go further, because like Hogwarts Legacy kept selling. Baldur's Gate continued to see success, whereas other games I think have flamed out pretty quickly.
Stop talking about Power World.
97% deduction the other day.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah, well, it was predictable. Like everyone knew. You don't keep 25 million players for 3 months.
right.
Yeah, without even adding really anything.
Yeah,
I'd
as
like
soon
to
as
see-
like the first raid update comes out, they're gonna get swamped again.
I'd like to see Helldivers 2 numbers as it goes, because in our minds it's trended upward, but how much availability was that? I love the comparisons between Power World and Helldivers, because I've seen people in our comments point out that they shouldn't be compared, but I love the idea of putting them on a graph next to each other, kind of zoomed out a bit, if you will, because there was this small ability to get into Helldivers in the beginning, and everybody could get into Power World. And I'm curious if Power World's trending down, but it started so much higher. I just want to see the graph and how many people are playing concurrently and engaged in that content. And the thing we'll never get to see, spending money. Like I wonder what the spending money numbers are with those two games.
Yeah, for Power World, I mean, I imagine it's probably not a lot of people spending money on anything. Can you even buy anything in Power World?
I don't think there's
No.
any type of monetization in that at the moment.
No, it's you buy it, you have it.
Yeah, as it should be. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to start that conversation yet. But yeah, I feel like with Power World, that's one thing. With Helldivers 2, I feel like they might be playing the long game, where for some reason this IP from 2014 coming out in a different way has caught the, kind of like Firestorm. And this is an opportunity, not to say that it will be on that level, but like this could be PlayStation's Halo. Like this could be their thing that they finally have after Killzone flopped. RIP. But I say flop. It's a little bit of an exaggeration. But Helldivers 2 could really be a big deal. And I think they're really excited about that. And so to see them continue marketing it, nurturing the game, not monetizing it too heavily up front, because they do have the in-game store, but like you're earning so many in-game currencies, like you don't really feel, I haven't yet, compelled to buy anything in my first couple of hours of playing it over the weekend. So hopefully they can keep that up, and then they can make their money on the back end with Helldivers 2 continual content, new war bonds, Helldivers 3 eventually. Like that could be really cool to see them build it up in a respectful way. That's nice.
It's always the danger. Will it be respectful? Will they take care of the player and their time? And I always worry about that, because I've been going down this road of figuring out mobile gaming. Now that I'm really in on my backbone, I upgraded because I wanted to experience COD Mobile, but also just make better use of my cellular as a cloud gaming thing. And so I'm basically walking around with my modern day Vita, which I love. Like, shout out to anybody that had a Vita. You're amazing. And I miss you too.
That Vita.
Oh, so good. Well, playing with the backbone, it feels like it. Like in COD Mobile, I feel like I'm playing Killzone Mercenary. Xbox cloud gaming, amazing. Yes, Jam Pack Sam for the win. That's
Got it locked and loaded. Let's go.
Such a good system. But these cloud gaming experiences, I play Gears Tactics all the time on my phone. I do a number of things via cloud gaming, but then if you go to the actual app store, there are very few premium gaming experiences. They're almost all just trash, throwaway, quick fix, quick monies. And so like that in between level, will it be nurtured? Will you take care of your user base? Because Xbox was really focused cloud-based, taking care of its users there. And it kind of slowed down on that front a bit. Helldivers has a chance to nurture its user base well. I really hope we see Xbox nurture their user bases more in their coming properties, because I don't think they treated Redfall very well. Even though that game is very playable now. Who knows that? 6 people, 7 people. It's a bummer. Somebody jump in.
Yeah, Redfall's about 6 people. Me and Ellery and Matt Valdez.
Yep, that's fair.
I had the hot take last week of for some reason we were talking about Forspoken on Project X Talk, and I said that I think that I would probably, if Redfall was gone, Forspoken was in its place, I'd probably have played more Forspoken than I would have Redfall. That's just me. Not to say that Redfall's a bad game, but that's one question that I also wanted to ask you guys, not to like hijack the show, but thinking about how, the idea of like handheld gaming PCs and different ways to play, because I was listening to the show right before this. Do you think that Xbox is positioning itself in a way where they'll be able to have that same level of hype eventually of, hey, PlayStation's bringing Spider-Man to PC, or Ghost of Tsushima is coming to PC? Are they on that level where if a big, like, trying to think of a good example, but like one of their biggest IP is coming to X, whatever other platform it might be, can that still drive that same level of hype? Like obviously Gears of War, Halo, like that stuff can, but the newer stuff like Avowed, like whatever, if that were to come to another platform, like we saw with Hi-Fi Rush come to PlayStation, is that able to generate that same level of expectation or hype that people kind of expect for a big company like that to be delivering? I don't know.
I firmly believe we will see Halo Infinite on Switch 2, the multiplayer anyhow. I firmly believe you will see those moments happen with Nintendo, and those will be the hype moments. I think Sea of Thieves has a chance to be the first, but I don't think we were ever going to see Hi-Fi Rush or Pentiment, Ori in the past be those games, those hype moments. But if you get one of the staple franchises like Halo, Gears, like a Forza, or possibly like Sea of Thieves, you might have that moment. Logan is embedded into the Sea of Thieves community, and it's really funny to hear him talk, because to me, Sea of Thieves is still this wonderful, incredible experience. And yet, when he talks about it, it's like he got shot in the foot, and he's like, Sea of Thieves, man, I tell you. But like, I can only imagine being on PlayStation and seeing this incredible pirate experience arriving because it's just such a unique joy. So possibly that's my take. I don't know. Jump in, anybody.
Yeah, I definitely, if like Halo or something popped over on PSN or even Infinite on the Switch, I think that would be the big one. I really don't think there's sadly anything on the Xbox side that really is still like grabbing people like, oh my god, I need this right now type of thing.
So Starfield on PlayStation's not doing it.
I don't think as much, especially with the. I mean, I think it's still sitting at mixed on Steam right now for review wise.
It is. Yeah.
I don't think it's as big as like even Fallout or Skyrim, anything like that. I do believe Sea of Thieves was actually had more pre-orders than Rise of Ronin and a few other games that were coming out on the PlayStation. So that's maybe.
There's a false narrative there though. They're offering like exclusive cosmetics. So you've got like a dedicated Sea of Thieves fan base that will do whatever they can to try and get those cosmetics.
Okay.
Is that what you think it is?
Dip?
No, I know. I have a big community. They're all trying to understand like what do they have to do to get these cosmetics? Like, are they going to have to just sign into their Xbox account? Like, what do they pre-order? Like, what content's got? Like, there are like a lot of Sea of Thieves fans that are just like, I will do whatever I have to get these stupid cosmetics. I don't even own a PlayStation, and I am willing to try and figure out how to get these cosmetics. That is how bad these people want these cosmetics. They don't own the console, but they're still going to buy the game for a console they don't own so they can have access to these.
I don't. Rick, what about you? Do you think people are going to double dip because you're not embedded into that community?
Well, I can't speak to Sea of Thieves because I know almost nothing about that game other than what Logan said. The only thing I could really add on was you were mentioning about like Halo and Gears earlier. I've gone back and forth on this in my head. I can see the Halo multiplayer, Infinite's multiplayer coming to PlayStation.
PlayStation, not Nintendo. You think PlayStation?
Yeah. Well, I'm looking specifically at that. I until we see the Switch 2 or whatever, I'm not even going to remotely try to judge what's coming there. But on the PlayStation side, I think Microsoft would be absolute fools to bring like Gears at all and the Halo single player over. The multiplayer I understand because that is live service and more player base is better. But I think, I mean, Halo is there, even if it's not the biggest thing anymore. I guess Call of Duty would technically be their biggest thing, but Halo is still what they're known for, and I just think that would be foolish to put that on your competitor's platform. Even with going a different route like they are, I still don't think that's a good idea. I think that's gonna that'd be the beginning of a very downward trajectory. So I believe they should keep campaign exclusive there on Microsoft side.
What if it was Master Chief Collection?
Well,
it's the weird, like the half in, half out, right?
It is, but I still think that one. What I'm not saying what will or will not. I'm saying what I think they should do, and I don't think they should bring that over. But I know they have considered it in the past, so that would not be. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, they had a full operational version of it for PS4, but it never obviously saw the light of day.
Yeah, I think that was Halo 3. I think
I saw
think
Gears
it was the full
of
Master
War.
Chief Collection. Hey,
or maybe it was
on
Gears.
PS3.
Maybe that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah,
Okay,
Gears was on PS3.
And you can see Clint put in chat that he says as a PlayStation player, he thinks Gears would kill.
That's Court, not Clint.
Did I say Clint? I'm sorry.
That's with a C. It's okay.
Yeah, there we go. It's the picture that's distracting me.
I agree it would do well, but I think it's a bad precedent. That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Bad precedent for what? Selling Xboxes or selling the Xbox brand?
Well, it wouldn't hurt selling the brand because if your brand is simply the software, obviously, if you put it on every platform there is, you're going to sell more. But I understand that their goal is everything. I mean, hypothetically speaking, everything everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to even remotely stay in the hardware business, you've got to have something that's exclusive to your box, and it's got to be your biggest stuff. If the other thing that's exclusive is Hi-Fi Rush, I mean, they're not going to sell platforms on that, right? Not saying it's a bad game because it's not, but it's just not good. It's not a system seller. Halo still kind of is,
Can I push back a little bit?
Sure.
on that and say that I think that the differentiator there is day one Game Pass for the hardware, and that is what they're looking at. They're not necessarily looking at like what exclusives can they keep on their console in the long term. I think they're pushing to say like, we have timed exclusives that you can get on other consoles, but you're going to have to wait for those. And if you want them at a good introductory cost, it's going to be on Game Pass on our hardware.
I don't disagree with you, except I don't think that that's like, I think that is probably the idea that they have. I just don't think that's a good grounds. You know,
Yeah.
Like I understand what they're doing. I think if the general precedent is okay, well, their big stuff, if I have to wait a year, so be it. I think you're going to see hardware sales plummet. There'll be a handful of people that buy it for sure, but I don't know what's Xbox Series rumored to be at 25-30 million now, something like that. If this were
Game Pass is around 30 million.
Okay, that obviously kind of one stuff as well, and PC. So let's say 30. Okay, just for the sake of argument, I think if this is what they had implemented and stuck with, and it's a little bit down the line, and it's to the point that everyone knows, okay, in a year I can get whatever Starfield, whatever, coming to PS5, 6, whatever. I think you're going to see 7 or 8 million console sales tops. Maybe that's a bit hyperbolic, but I think some people would buy it. There's no doubt. But I think the majority of people would look and go, well, obviously I could get it for just the price of the subscription, but I'd have a way bigger buy-in than just sticking with the one that I already have. That's kind of the argument I've always had on this.
I understand that. I get that. I want to take a moment real quick and shout out the people in chat. We saw the nerd chat show up. John Wall with Midlife Side Quest. Obviously, I see Court Lalonde. So happy to see them. Nisa's in here. Siki, of course, saying some blasphemous, crazy stuff, saying that Outriders is better than Gears. I love Outriders.
That's objectively false.
But there's no way. I love Outriders. No. Gears is amazing. Gears is absolutely amazing. But I want to thank all of you guys for showing up on a kind of our tryout live stream. I really appreciate you guys. It means the absolute world. So thank you there. And remember, Joe sucks. I'm so stuck on this. Just the take there about putting games other places, because I see the future very soon. Consoles don't matter. I don't think consoles matter. And if you want your brand to last, you need to be available to play in other places. I feel like we go back to that. That's why I do get caught off guard by the idea of an Xbox handheld, because Xbox can just be on your handheld. And I get really mixed thought processes about whether that's a good or bad thought. I mean, what do you guys think? Should there be a dedicated Xbox handheld in general?
Yes.
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think that'd be a bad idea at all.
Definitely.
Universal yeses. Okay, somebody pitch to me why it needs to be a dedicated handheld versus logging in on your ROG Ally, using a backbone, going on Steam Deck. Why does that have to be dedicated?
I would say, yeah, native is better. You're going to get a better graphics, better high resolution. But I live in New Hampshire, and I can tell you right now that pretty much 95% of the state, you can use the backbone out and about, but it's going to be very meh. I've tried to use Xbox Cloud several times on it, and it works. But if it's anything fast paced, there's a delay on it, and I work all over the state, so it's just as soon as I got to the Ally where I could put Game Pass on there and stuff, that's my go-to right there, because I can just boot it up. It's on there. There's no waiting or anything. It's native graphics. That's where it's at for me, anyways.
So, adding on to that, because I agreed with Clint said there. I think that, no matter what you do, native is better. Right? There's just no way for cloud to ever be better.
Of course,
the best you could get would be almost comparable. But right now, I was kind of surprised when I actually did check out xCloud. I was pretty disappointed, actually. I thought it was, being that you got Microsoft behind it, I thought it was kind of a rather poor performance. And I thought at first maybe that was my home network, but when I got my Steam Deck I discovered I had no idea that Steam Link was a thing, which is basically just the same idea, right? It's not cloud, but it would be streaming
Like the
from my
portal.
computer, exactly, like the portal. It'd be streaming from my computer to my Steam Deck. When I played Starfield on it, I was like, man, if I didn't know any better, I would think this was running natively on the Steam Deck. It runs that well. And again, I realize it's not quite the same thing. xCloud is a little bit different. But even when I tried to stream my Xbox to the Steam Deck for the same reason, it didn't work nearly as well. So clearly, somewhere along the lines, Valve has something figured out that Microsoft does not. And I mean, there's not really much comparison in terms of which company has the money to to do the R&D there. So Microsoft probably should do a little bit better on that front, I think.
Anybody else want to tackle that one?
Yeah. First, the xCloud. I don't think we have like the internet infrastructures there yet. Maybe in big cities like New York, LA, like West Coast, East Coast, you go in the middle, like, or where I am in Eastern Canada, or just in the middle, in the prairie. You don't have the same speed that could make it usable. So you restrict your market too much for now. For dedicated, I think you need a native Xbox handheld. Like, I play mainly on PC, and I use the Xbox app. It's not the best. The Windows Store versions of the games are... It's a dice roll. So some works like any Steam game, others you have to jump through hoops. You have to relog in each time. It's not the best. And if you go for Ally or Legion or etc., you're still on Windows, so you still have to add that layer on top. And Windows by itself takes a lot of resources. If you can remove that, go straight to your Xbox OS and the game. You save a lot of performance, and I see in their chat also in chat talk about the battery life. If you can optimize the game with your hardware, you can save a lot of battery and maybe push to 5 hours, 6.
I think a lot about go ahead, Logan, please.
Luke, I agree there, man. I think it's the reason why console gamers honestly like the idea of having a console is they don't want to mess around with all that extra login stuff. They don't want to mess around with, what operating system's working on there. They just want to hit the power button, find the game, and jump right in. And I think that's what having a dedicated handheld offers. You can have plenty of options out there. That's just a PC. It's just a handheld PC. There's a reason why people really like the PlayStation Portal, and it's because it does just what the PlayStation does, just portably for them. And they don't even care if they have to stream it at that point because they've already bought into the most expensive ecosystem for them.
You literally press 2 buttons and the portal's connected to your PS5. So you're dead right.
I get what you guys are saying, and I feel like somewhere in between is what we'll end up with. I'm watching, I bring up Warzone Mobile for a couple reasons, because right now the tech is really impressive and the matches are really good, but they heat up your phone. They use a ton of resources. There's a lot of problems that can come with that. And people are talking about having the option to install more of the stuff that it's loading on your device. And that option there might be there to help, I guess you would say, some of the bigger games. And then I think about file sizes, and how big some of these games are getting and how to get those onto mobile spaces because storage is such an issue. And then I counterpoint myself in this kind of back and forth logic of, well, Nintendo's able to do it and do it quite well in a number of places. Their games are very small and yet very playable. And so I kind of go through this teeter-totter back and forth of what the right answer is for handling Xbox in the mobile space one way or another.
So one area there that you just mentioned that is slightly addressable. So say hypothetically Xbox would release a handheld. The file size, while not completely fixable, that could be helped. if they had things make let's just say an X-Boy version of it, right? Or not a Boy version. I'm sorry, an X-Boy like install version. The reason those installs are so out of control is because of 4K textures. Obviously, on a handheld device, you would not need 4K textures. You could probably get that down to slightly higher than 720p if you have an 8-inch, 9-inch screen, whatever they are nowadays, and you wouldn't even know the difference because it would look crystal clear. I think the Portal runs at 1080p, and you would think it's a 4K screen because it's so small. So you could actually fix that. You would just have to make sure that if it was to install natively on it, that it has a handheld version of the install so that it's installing less resolution textures, and you would greatly reduce the install size.
That makes sense. And that
you look at Switch games, like the last Zelda is less than 30 gig. It's ridiculous. The game is massive, and it goes into their little cartridge.
Yeah, I think Breath of the Wild was like 13 gig or something small like that. That's indie titles on PS5 and Xbox One or Series. I mean,
yeah. Bosom Blend demo is 16.
Yeah, exactly.
Thinking about how the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection was like 70 gigs or whatever monstrosity that was.
It was more than the old one, but still had like worse graphics somehow. Thanks, Aspire.
Pretty incredible. It's got 4K 360p textures is pretty much what I think they did. Is like, they up-res the low-res. Thank you.
Wow.
Just what we wanted.
Watching that whole story unfold was amusing because so many people were pointing to like, oh, just play it on back compat because Xbox does such a good job with its back compat. And then Aspire, it was like they were huffing glue when they were putting this thing on a cart. I was like, oh no.
I don't think you could do that. The servers don't work anymore, do they?
No, not the multiplayer element.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's original Xbox. The servers are gone.
But like in terms of visuals,
they
just did this brilliant bit, whereas it makes no sense how Aspire handled that. And can you imagine if they had been allowed to keep developing the Knights of the Old Republic?
Thank God.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't know where
weird is they did a good job with Tomb Raider. Apparently, what were they doing here? This should have been easier.
Got me. Yeah, that's like the teams at oh my gosh. They do action games and like their A team is amazing and their B team is awful. Platinum. That's what it is.
Oh my God, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, their A team is some of the best in the industry. The B team couldn't make a decent mobile game.
Yeah.
You got to have the training pond for people to learn how to swim there, and then that's how you get the Olympic athletes. You start them out young, and you train them up, and the numbers they put out aren't going to be amazing. They'll get there eventually.
That's fair.
I think one of my questions too about with this going back to the handheld and the Xbox ecosystem conversation we were having overall, like my thought process, I'm kind of worried about the future because of how much they're diversifying the way that people can play. Like you can do cloud, you can do console, you can do, if you want to buy the games on other platforms, if you want PC, if you want, potentially a handheld. At what point do they have like the McDonald's problem of we've got snack wraps, we've got salads, we've got Big Macs, we've got like whole list of things. And then they're like, we're spending so much money keeping this menu as big as it is. It doesn't make sense for us anymore. And then we cut off cloud and handheld and we're back down to console and PC. Like, I just don't, my concern is that they will get to a point where it's not sustainable. Like with Phil saying that the industry is projected to continue shrinking next year. Like if it continues to shrink, are they going to be able to support this in a way that makes fiscal sense for them? Like obviously they can't, it's Microsoft, but when it comes down to the bottom line, will it make sense? I don't know. It's just a weird time for that.
What you just described is the services side of the exact issue with what PlayStation is doing right now.
How so?
Well, they're on the software side. I mean, where you're saying the services, you want to focus on this, this, and this, and instead we're not going to do this. On the PlayStation side, PlayStation is known for top quality single player games, and they decided to focus on everything except for single player games. And now, that's not to say PlayStation is doing bad because it's clearly not based on sales alone, but the complete lack of output of first-party titles outside from the occasional one like Helldivers or Spider-Man tells the whole story. We still don't even know what's coming. We still don't know anything else that's coming except for Wolverine.
Helldivers is not first-party.
It's second party.
It's exclusive.
It's second party. Sony did publish it. They just
Like,
don't know.
I don't know if this year they have one.
Oh, you
No,
mean-
that a first party Sony game isn't supposed to be coming out until like first quarter 2025, supposedly.
Well, that
Yeah.
that was large scale. That said, we still don't know of anything else. Stellar Blade is also another, or Bosom Blade is also another second party title, and that actually I think is going to do pretty well, but it's still not first party. It's
Does
still
it matter if it's first party if it's exclusive? Because I don't think it does.
I don't even think it matters just exclusive. I think it matters
No.
that your best teams aren't putting out games, and that's the part that matters. I don't care if Last of Us 3 comes out and they put it on Switch. Well, I do care about that because it would probably severely affect the product. But we'll say Xbox. I don't care. What I care about is the good developers are not outputting product, and that's an issue.
Yes,
I
Logan,
do-
you can talk, buddy.
I do think that the second party issue is actually a big issue. I look at like a lot of the second party studios that Nintendo hires on for products, and they don't always get to return for like a sequel or something like that, and having a second party, it's a good relationship, but it doesn't mean that studio is going to be working with that with that publisher forever. Like Helldivers 3 could be an exclusive to Xbox next time around, and it's because they went second party.
Sony owns the IP, but I get your point.
I mean, you look at games like Returnal, that I think they saw what that was, and they recognized the power there, and they decided to scoop up that studio because they didn't want that to be a second party, like going third party kind of scenario with a sequel, where they saw like what Returnal was, and they could realize how much more money they could make if they opened it up to other ecosystems.
I think if Stellar Blade does do as well as it probably seems as though it's going to, it does seem like it's going to be quite good and probably so well. There's a lot of interest around it. I think you might see Sony consider getting that, because then they also have a mobile team, which they have been making a slight, not as much as Microsoft, but they have been making a move towards the mobile market. And Shift Up made some Asian-only game that is massive over there.
They made Nikkei, got the Sabutori,
Yeah.
the honest gacha in the market.
Yeah. So you
What
might
is
see.
it? I have no idea what you just said. The what?
The Shift Up, the makers of Stellar Blades, their previous
Oh.
game is a mobile game. It's a gacha.
It's a gotcha game. Got it.
Gacha game. Very horny. Like Stellar Blade is like tamed.
Gotcha. I see. What
Oh
you're
yeah,
saying.
it's very horny. Yes.
Gotcha.
The
Logan, I see you
The
writing
Jack
down.
Jones
You got your
games.
pen? You writing that? Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not taking notes for you. Look
He's
up
downloading it
rumors.
right now.
I mean, do you guys think that based on that, I haven't played the demo. I still don't have a PS5, like the real Xbox fan that I am. No, I'm just kidding. But like, do you think it's good enough to be like a new Bayonetta or a Bayonetta
I
on
do.
steroids? Like,
Yeah,
could
I
it be
do,
that?
Yes.
actually. But,
Great.
based on
Yeah,
that demo, that is a well-made
Yep.
game.
Really?
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
I'm fighting
Uh,
that,
Sure,
man.
we don't really know about the story yet, though.
No,
Yeah, definitely don't know
But
about the
gameplay
story.
is really
the,
good.
the gameplay,
Gameplay
is
is
honestly
awesome.
exceptional. Yeah,
And I do kind of hate that, we joke around and call it Bosom Blade and stuff, and I hate that it is extremely sexualized. Even from the very first opening scene, it is just, yeah. But the gameplay is very solid, so hopefully it does get recognized for the gameplay and not, shoved under because it's like, oh, boobs and butt everywhere. But I'm not gonna have a long ponytail. I'm definitely having the short ponytail. So I hope it does well, because it definitely deserves to, for sure.
Mhm.
And I can definitely see it going far, like Bayonetta type of thing, for sure.
and based on the demo, it's actually pretty visually good too. Like you mentioned about the ponytail, the hair physics are actually pretty remarkable in it. When you have her long ponytail, it is down to like almost the back of her knee, and it's probably the most flowing and realistic hair I've ever seen in a game. It's actually pretty amazing.
Yeah, I turned that off real quick.
I
Gameplay is good.
disagree with you on that so much.
I don't know what you played then.
Yeah, oh,
I
interesting.
thought it was amazing.
Did you ever play? This is for Rick. Did you ever play Wanted Dead?
Yeah, I wanted to like it, and I did not at all.
Gotcha. Okay, just the way that you're describing it, it sounds very similar. Very
It's
similar.
not. No, and actually, it's really not like that at all.
I see. Okay, fair enough.
It's more like So if you were to not know any better, you would think it plays like Bayonetta, but it really doesn't at all. It plays more like
A FromSoft Dark Souls game.
No, a little bit, a very little bit of Sekiro mixed with Nier Automata and, well, actually a lot of Nier Automata. It's really quite similar to that. So I would say
I'd add Scarlet Nexus in there, like with the abilities that you charge up. And
I just have no
Yeah.
interest myself, and I'm curious if it hits with the masses. Like we at the top of the show, we talked about Dragon's Dogma 2.5 million. What's Stellar Blade going to be at? I'm really curious, just for comparison's sake. It's not a 1-to-1, but I do have curiosity there for sure. Like, is it the sexualization that sells, or is it the gameplay that sells it? What is it in the zeitgeist that people pick up on? Because that was a talking point for Logan when it came to Dragon's Dogma. I'm curious if Stellar Blade is the counterpoint to that, you know? And shout out to Ellery Woods Parker the third. They are in the chat. Good to see you. Professional writer now. I think we're all supposed to acknowledge
Right.
Dr. Ellery Woods Parker the
Fancy.
third, writing for Complete Xbox and such. Shout out to them.
I will say that I think that there is a bridge too far with the sexualization. I think Stellar Blade hits that line where people will not buy it, or if they do, they will they don't feel comfortable playing this in their home, as opposed to like a Baldur's Gate where they can kind of navigate most of the game without running into that.
Yeah,
can
Baldur's
see that,
Gate 3,
but I don't know if I
it's
agree.
optional. Stellar Blade, you don't really have a choice.
Gotcha.
Because it's not nearly as overtly sexualized as Bayonetta, where that literally is like the whole point of Bayonetta. And Bayonetta does do well. And again, they are different games. But Bayonetta also, 2 of the 3 titles were only on Nintendo platforms, which are, you know, they certainly have a larger, like, younger base. That doesn't mean they don't have adults that play them. But so I get what you're saying, Logan, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but I don't think I agree either. I actually think, assuming it reviews well, like, let's, you know, if it comes out and it's a 5, it's a moot point. But if it comes out and let's say, you know, it's 8 to 8.5 to 8.5 on like Metacritic, I could see this game doing 2 mil in sales.
I think the best thing they did and could have done is release the demo, because over on Threads, other Discords I'm in, there were people who had no idea about it.
There are other Discords, Clint?
No.
Good answer.
But like, so many people I know just had no interest in it because they just saw the sexualization of it, and then they actually played the demo. Other people caught wind that the demo was really good, and I'm seeing a ton of people on Threads and in Discords that I'm not in, but I've heard from other people say that that they've had so much fun with it and are now a day 1 from not even interested whatsoever. So I'm glad they did the demo for sure.
And then it's had a lot of marketing push from Sony for sure. But you're right. The demo is going to be a big selling point for it, I think.
Every game should have a demo. That's the best marketing you can get. It costs you really nothing. A bit of dev time to cut out the parts you don't want people to see, and the game will sell for itself.
I don't know. I don't know that I agree with that. I think avenues like PlayStation Plus and Game Pass and PS Plus Essential and Game Pass Core do a really good job at showcasing games that people like. Who's going to go play a demo if their progress or achievements or trophies don't carry, versus, hey, I'm going to take the time that I would have tried this demo and play something that just dropped into PS Plus or Game Pass. I think that's an important thing. I see you, Rick. Don't think I won't call that out later. And so I don't know. Like, I just saw that Tales of Kanzera Zao, which very honored to have Abu on the show a few weeks back. Very excited for that game. It looks like it's going to be Prince of Persia, Lost Crown level brilliance. I'm so excited about it. They just announced they're going into PlayStation Plus. That tells me that they were worried on some level, or they wanted guaranteed cash, but also they're going to get an audience to try out their stuff almost immediately. Isn't that more useful than a demo?
I mean, it could be. I think that it depends on the situation for that. Like, I think that Prince of Persia, like, talking about the flip side of that, if it had been launched into a Game Pass or a PlayStation Plus, more people would have gotten in because that game didn't perform to their expectations from what we heard a couple of months ago. But for a game like, Stellar Blade to launch into PlayStation Plus, hypothetically, I think that might take away from the potential income of it. Like they could make more money if they didn't go in, thinking on the advocating for the demo side of things. When Indiana Jones comes out, people are like, oh, it's a first person Indiana Jones game. I don't know. Like a demo could do really well in pushing that, but that's also averse to Microsoft's whole strategy of like, you can play it on day one with Game Pass if you just buy it. So it really depends on like what the company is doing to bring in revenue. Like, are they focused on sales or are they focused on trying to grow the subscription?
That's a good point. Yeah.
I hate how Sam is so intelligent with everything.
I enjoy it.
This is game discussion. We're supposed to be throwing things at each other.
Yeah, we're online. This is on the internet. We hate each other.
I was going to say, I think it also would come down to, in terms of what you just said, Sam, the install base of the subscription service on PlayStation Extra versus Game Pass. I do not know what PlayStation Extra's numbers are because I don't think they've ever released them. I'm sure there's probably a reason for that. Whereas I would assume Xbox's is probably 60%, if not more, of their user base. So I would say, you're right. I think putting Stellar Blade in PlayStation Extra would probably just absolutely cut its sales off at the knees. Whereas something like Kanzuru, is that how you pronounce it?
Tales of Kenzera?
Tales of Kenzera, thank you. I don't think you're affecting sales as much there as you would with something like Stellar Blade.
I think Stellar Blade has a chance to sell more because it's exclusive versus Tales of Kenzera, because that runs the risk of being an indie title that gets lost in the mix. Discoverability is a difficult factor, and guaranteed income from PS Plus or Game Pass, whichever route you go, and sometimes they do both, can be very, very helpful. Very, very helpful. So I think that's the counterpoint.
I was saying, by the same token, we had just discussed in the Discord yesterday and today about Hollow Knight Silksong getting its store page. I'm guessing
that was real. That was real.
It was real. It was real.
Sarah Bond reposted that in threads and Twitter.
I think Team Cherry made a massive mistake going day one with that, because I think Hollow Knight has the backing to sell like crazy no matter where they put it, and I think
Definitely.
I think they made an enormous mistake going Game Pass on that. It would have wanted to wait 6 months and do it. Day one was a huge error.
We don't know what the deal was.
Yeah,
though. Like how much money did they get?
It's true, but I don't know.
I have a feeling that money was not. I don't think they paid very much for Silksong, and I think Silksong just took a lot longer to dev. I think they were all expecting it to be a much faster process than it was. And not for nothing, Ori's better anyway, so it's like whatever.
No, it's not. The Ori is amazing, but Hollow Knight's much better.
Ori's better.
Hollow Knight's the best Metroidvania ever made.
I mean, yeah, it's like third or fourth. That's pretty good. Like top 5. You got to credit that.
This guy with his hot takes, I'm telling you. Between his music tastes and this, and I
don't know. We're hanging out here and together now, just like this. It's pretty great. I thought about moving all of your panels around, but that would be rearranged, and I wouldn't do that.
I love it. I love it. Keep it coming.
Rick,
you're
my significant other. I'm gonna tell you that right now. All right. So we've talked a good bit about Dragon's Dogma, Stellar Blade, Xbox handheld. What has been catching your eye gameplay wise? What have you guys been playing this week? I'm sure it's some JRPG mess, so I'm going to go straight to Sam. Sam, what have you been playing this week? I know the Yappening is just out, so you're about to do your Infinite stuff.
The Yappening is happening, man. Yeah, I'm hyped about that. I always have to go into my Xbox app and check to see what I've been playing because I have the memory of like no one. I have been playing Evil West on Game Pass. I got into that. I did buy Helldivers 2 last. What was that?
Good game.
Yeah, very solid game. I'm probably I've been putting in maybe an hour every night. It's been super busy lately. So I'm probably like 5 hours into it. I'm sure I'm coming up on like 75% of the way done, but really good time. Kicks it back to like that PS2, PS3 era of just like, it's a game, the plot, it's decent. Like it's better than I think I expected it to be, but I'm having a good time with that.
It's a rent at Blockbuster.
It is.
Game.
Yeah, it is. It kind of reminds me, I don't know why, but the like 2009 Bionic Commando game that I rented
Yeah.
from Blockbuster was very like I loved that game on PS3, and this has like the same energy, not in tone, not in gameplay, but it's got that same like I love this and I would totally rent it, but I normally wouldn't buy it. But I'm really enjoying Evil West. It's really good.
I love that game as well. I think it's a great game. I love the AA realm
Yeah.
of video games, especially as AAA is so expensive. I want the AA stuff all day, every day. Give me Darksiders. Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah, it's very good. Very good.
Yep. What about you, Clint? What have you been playing?
I've actually been putting, as Sam said, about like an hour or so every other night with Evil West, and same as he said, it's just good fun. It's kind of almost like a third person Doom. It just feels very weighty when you're punching people and stuff, and it's a lot of fun for sure. Other than that, Helldivers, a lot of Unicorn Overlord. That game is absolutely beautiful. Everything is hand drawn to the waves, everything. It's just fantastic, that one.
What is that? Because I saw Kevin Ainsworth chatting about it in Discord. What is that?
It's kind of like a tactics RPG style game. You have an open world. It's your standard fantasy. This guy's taking over the kingdom over here. You need to go beat him. Blah blah blah. But you level up your army, so to speak. Different characters. You can have different units. Place them around. There's quests to do. But definitely the highlight is everything is hand drawn to every little detail. All the story videos such is all hand drawn, so it's to the scale of the armor and everything. Just the time that the devs must have put into that game is just insane.
That's cool. That's impressive. I know that I saw Kevin was really excited for it, and it's not a game that does speak to me, but like I know it's a big deal to people. So it's like one that I watch casually. It's kind of like Sam when Kev gets started on Project X Talk. I'm
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's the beauty of having like the big screen is that I've got Kevin on like the main screen that I'm talking to, and then I can be like, what's going on, Threads? How's the Discord looking today?
That's fair. Logan, what have you been playing, man?
What have I been playing? It's mostly just been Call of Duty, to be perfectly honest. We've been trying to get everyone's battle pass completed. So we've just been grinding a lot of that. I mean, you and I jumped into Warzone with the guys not too long ago. That was pretty fun. I tried Call of Duty Mobile Warzone, and that was just like, it's stupid easy. Like everything's auto. You just run up and you move a little cursor until it autos over someone, and then you just wait for them to die.
You
That's
use
why
auto
Luke
shoot.
makes it.
No,
Yeah.
I don't use auto shoot. I love the auto loop, but I do not use
You're
auto
dumb.
shoot.
That's how that works. I haven't lost a match. I just get an LMG and then I wait and then I just cursor over them, and then when its cursor is on there long enough, they just die. Like I don't die, they die. Same thing with the sniper.
Oh my gosh.
It's really easy. I know I'm not playing bots because I see the dumb names that come across on the credits. So I'm like, yeah, there's my dumb name. There's my partner's dumb name. And there's the other guy's dumb name. It's crazy, but yeah, got that battle pass done. Now that that's done, I can take a look at Fortnite and see if I can get the Legend of Korra stuff, whatever those quests end up being. Start working on those. But I did download, funny enough, I did download Evil West, and I've just been like waiting for the right moment to sit down and actually jump into it, because I have wanted to actually dive into that game because it reminds me a lot of Gungrave back in the day.
Yeah, definitely some comparisons there. Way, way better than Gungrave. So much better than Gungrave.
That's good to hear, because I'm a stan for Gungrave because of the artist that developed that, but I will 100% jump into Evil West knowing that it's a better game.
Yeah, you'll dig it. You'll dig it.
I have been loving Warzone Mobile, but it does make my phone hot. I don't use auto shoot, so like that's a thing.
Cool.
But I have really enjoyed our diving into Warzone, and it brings me back once again to several points. First, Rick Davis in our chat. I don't even know this man.
That's a smart guy, whoever that is. That's a smart guy.
Making a terribly incorrect statement about Battlefield being better than Call of Duty. It's not.
His Patreon should be free.
Yeah.
I should get paid for it.
But yeah, going through the Call of Duty stuff, like I am consistently impressed by Call of Duty because it gets all this flack, like Fortnite. It gets all this flack for ongoing content, and COD has campaign, now mobile, and starting tomorrow with the new season, it's entirely integrated. You play Warzone mobile, it progresses your battle pass everywhere, your unlocks everywhere, all of that cross progression. You get campaign, multiplayer, battle royale, and zombies. That's 4 different places. That's to me very impressive. And so I don't want people sleeping on Warzone mobile, but do be wary of like optimization and whatnot. And I'm going to take a moment before we hear Silken and Rick's statement. Thank you guys for being in chat. This is our first live episode, and way more people are here than I ever expected. And I'm honored and appreciative kind of seeing this happen. I opened up channel memberships and all that other stuff, and I'm just testing the waters, and I'm just grateful to you guys for being here and being supportive. So thank you. Rick, I feel bad asking you to speak after pointing out how Battlefield is nowhere near the level of Call of Duty, but please, what have you been playing?
You're right. Whatever I say is gonna have a hard time topping that, like just objective truth. But I'm gonna do my best here. Well, I've still been playing through Rebirth. I'm the only one of the 3 of us that hasn't completed it. I still got a ways to go. I'm on chapter 10. What is there? 15, 16, something like that.
14.
Okay, 14. Okay,
and 13 is long.
Yeah. So
but 14
so
is
it's 10 been. But that's a great game. I mean, we've talked about that ad nauseum at this point. Never ends. That game never freaking ends, but it is so good. But I'm also playing something else that, as far as I can tell, I'm the only one in the Discord playing it, and that is Rise of Ronin. What's interesting?
Oh, I tried.
Is coming into this, into its release, excuse me, with the reviews that were middling. They weren't bad, but they were like 7s to 7.5s. I was like, oh, that's kind of a shut up, Krista. That's a
I don't know Krista, but I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Krista. Might be my new best friend.
Put him in the Discord.
Come on, Krista.
Anyway,
one of us.
So I actually got to the point I was more excited for Dragon's Dogma because they both came out the same day. Well, just based on the order that I installed them, I still had the Rise of Ronin disc in my system, so I was like, all right, I'll just play this first. And I actually think I like it better of the 2. Dragon's Dogma might be the better game, but Rise of Ronin is very cool. It's not quite like I thought it would be. It's if you take like Wolong's combat, which Wolong's combat is actually excellent, mix it with kind of a Ghost of Tsushima setting, and dabble in a bit of like actually Western RPG, like something like a Witcher. That's what you got. The graphics are kind of subpar, which is a bit disappointing because actually Wolong was really good looking. This is not so much, but the combat's amazing. It's surprisingly deep because just like Wolong, you have, I don't know, 8 or 10 different like weapon types, but each of those weapons has multiple stances, which is kind of how Neo worked. And each of those stances, it uses this rock, paper, scissors system where like this one is better for like fast weapons. This one's better for slow. And each one of them has variations of that. And it's awesome. And the story is kind of endearing. It has a very good transmog system, which is good because there's a lot of gear. So I want to be able to not look like a complete idiot running around. My guy looks awesome. He looks a lot like what's the dude that played Scorpion in Mortal Kombat, Hiroki Sanada or something like that. He looks a lot like him. And that guy's cool.
I know him as Scorpion in Mortal Kombat.
He's been
talking about the latest Mortal Kombat movie.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
There's something else that I've been playing because I made a massive error in judgment and I started playing SnowRunner again. I love that game. I outside of Rocket League, I actually may have played SnowRunner more than any game ever. But
what
that game,
out of nowhere comment.
It is weird. It is weird, but I love that game so much, and it makes you hurt very much because I would like to read a Steam review for it. It's only 2 sentences, but I read this to Clint the other day because it cracked me up.
It kind of makes me want to play it.
This was actually shared by the SnowRunner account. That's how I saw it. 1 second here. Okay. So this was a recommended review from someone who played it for 203 hours, which is probably a bit more than I've played it. But You spend 3 hours trying to deliver logs, then you flip over and have to explain to your dad why you were crying at 4 a.m. Best game ever made. And there is nothing that could describe that game better than that, because that is spot on.
Somehow that spoke to me, and I'm offended that it did.
The Dark Souls of simulators.
It is. It almost is. For those that don't know what it is, there was a game that was made by one guy back in the day called Spin Tires, and then I think it was 2K or someone bought it, and they made Mud Runner. And the whole idea is these are basically hulling simulations, where it has this pretty in-depth like mud system and like tire traction system. That's the whole point, is you're hauling stuff to like various different industrial sites, and it is remarkably difficult. When you start to get to the later contracts in it, it's not as simple as just taking something from your garage to this place. You start to have to go to multiple different maps, and when you do that, you have to make sure you have a truck that has like fuel with it, because you won't have like a gas station in these other maps. You might have it in the first one, but you don't have it in the other one. It gets pretty in depth, and you actually got to like really plan things out. It's pretty wild, and it is remarkably difficult for what it is, because it's not a exaggeration to say you spend the majority of that game going less than 5 miles an hour, like, because you are basically trudging through mud and dirt and snow and all that stuff, depending on what map you're playing. But I've bought like all the seasons to it. They're on the 4th year, and this game might have the best post-launch support I've ever seen. Like the amount of different maps and trucks that they've released, it's amazing. And yes, Ellery, actually, that was the other point I was getting at, is I have been playing Expeditions. I don't like it as much because it's a bit different. Whereas SnowRunner is all about hauling the things, Expedition is more about just off-roading your vehicle through like non-inhabited areas. And it's kind of, it's not that I dislike the idea. There's not a whole lot to it right now. There's not a lot of trucks. There's 3 maps, although one of them doesn't even really count because it's quite small. But we'll see. And if they support it like they do SnowRunner, I'm sure it'll be pretty good in the long run.
I got to tell you, man, I Googled SnowRunner Mobile just to see if I could find out.
Why not take a good thing and ruin it?
I hope this game has auto drive in it.
Yeah, right? Make it so much better.
I'm still just hung up on the idea that it has seasons. Like, is there a battle pass, or like what am I doing with the seasons?
It's maps. It's basically extra maps.
Okay.
Like there's 4 years of content. It's what each one has obviously been a year. And each year has 4 seasons in it, and one season has a map or 2 maps and a couple trucks with a whole bunch of new like objectives and stuff like that. That's just how they refer to it.
Sounds deeper than Call of Duty to me.
Well, I mean, the puddle outside my house is deeper than Call of Duty.
I got all these jokes about Battlefield, but you know, I don't want to dismay your good efforts there. Silken, what have you been playing, man?
Well, apart from Dragon's Dogma, I'm still on Balatro. I'm still addicted to that game.
Mm-hmm. Nice. We
Numbers
talked
go
about that
up.
last month.
Yeah.
Who just left? Something just happened.
Clint.
Oh, Clint's out of here. Clint said, "I'm done. SnowRunner Mobile's a thing, and I'm there." I get it. I get it. Oh, I don't blame him.
Yeah,
Nice.
Balatro, and on the other side of simulator, I went back to Power Wash Simulator a bit.
Oh, nice. Very
Because
cool.
after Rebirth, I wanted a bit more Final Fantasy in my world, so I went to clean up the remake kind of items they added.
Who's typing?
Sorry, me.
I knew as soon as you said Power Wash Simulator, and after you talked about Final Fantasy, I knew you were going for the Midgard content. Like, I could feel it coming. I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, I bought the Back to the Future ones too.
Yeah,
that are really good. And the Warhammer. So now I have the Warhammer to do.
Yeah, they've done it's. They've got Warhammer, they've got Final Fantasy, they've got Back to the Future. I know they have. What was the other one?
Though?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
I played the
the
Tomb Raider
manor,
stuff.
the gym parkour stuff.
Yeah, they've done really cool stuff with that. That's awesome.
Yeah, they have a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There he is. He's back.
Imagine it.
Oh, he had to change his headline. That's why.
No,
you
like
don't have to
crapped out for a
disconnect for that.
second.
So is there any topic that we haven't broached today, gents, that you guys would like to talk about? And anybody in chat, if you'd like to drop a question or whatnot for us, please feel free. But because it's our first live show, I want to give you guys a chance to bring up whatever it is that might be on your minds. Anything?
To Rick, with Rise of Ronin, I started playing it as well. I'm only about 2 hours in, so I'm not deep into the gameplay or anything. It's decent that I've played so far, but the graphics have just knocked me out of it, and I don't know why, because I've been comparing it to like their past games, which look fantastic, and then this one is literally at times like a first gen PS3 game. Like if you're up close to character models, they're just awful, and it kind of jars me out of what I'm playing. So I don't know.
Which game is this?
Just a Rise of Ronin.
Gotcha.
For the PS5, and that's another.
I don't think they're that bad, but they're probably early PS4. I'll go along with that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it just seems weird that from that team that's made such great looking games, I don't know what happened.
Open world, I assume.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I don't know if they've ever made an open world game.
I think this is their first like true open world game. So yeah, and then probably height of development was during COVID too, probably. So.
Like if you look, the details on your character are actually quite good. The details on named characters and stuff like that are pretty good. It's just it doesn't seem like it streams the world very well, and so it kind of like there are times where it looks good, but that's much more on an artistic side of it.
The character creation is fantastic.
It's amazing, but it was also very good in Will Long, so that doesn't surprise me.
What a great game.
Yeah, Will Long was good. I like this better actually, but it might be more the setting. I love like Shogunate Japan, so it's just. But like when you get to an area where there's like I don't know cherry blossoms or red stuff, like red leaves, it really does look good on an artistic level. But when you're running through it, it looks bad. Like when you're in like the towns of Yokohama. When you're in Yokohama, like the streets aren't super populated, but if you really look at things, like there's pretty good detail in things. I don't know how far you went, but when you get into the town, one of the very first things you do is you go to a geisha, I think that's how you pronounce it, thing to, like, and when you walk through, like it actually looks really good in there because they have like the torii gates inside, they have all these like special rocks and stuff like that, and like. Her dress is really detailed and stuff like that. But when you're walking around the city, it's just like, man, this just doesn't look very good.
Right.
And the problem is no matter what you do, this is always going to be compared to Ghost of Tsushima, which just objectively in every way is better. So, and the thing about it is, it's also a PlayStation exclusive title. So it's not like you can even blame multi-console development. I do wish they'd have done better on that front. But the actual combat, I think, is maybe the best they've ever had. Like,
the combat's definitely solid for sure. Yep.
So what do you see yourself playing more of in the next week or so?
Me?
Yeah, I think with this.
Are we gonna stick with Rise of Ronin, or are you guys going back to Dragon's Dogma? Like, where are you staying?
I'm more Rise of Ronin for sure.
I'm definitely gonna try Rise of Ronin some more. And see how that goes, but I definitely like Dragon's Dogma too as well. But probably definitely going to hit Helldivers too, especially with this new patch. It topped levels from like level 50 now to a level 150. So,
jeez. And I saw they're bringing like walkers in and stuff.
Yeah, they got flying robots now, and yeah, it's going to be getting pretty hectic.
Nice, very cool.
I feel like you're all forgetting that the yappening is happening. I mean, come on. We got to get back into Halo.
Actually, going back to that, I somehow have not even heard of that.
I don't know.
It's just their... Yeah, well, you go ahead, Sam.
It's just their event. Like, it's the next 20-tier pass that's going to be $5 if you want to keep everything forever. So it's more of like a cosmetic drop than it is like a giant update. But they're constantly bringing in Forge stuff, so there's new stuff to play. But yeah, that's what I'll be doing.
Infinite to me is in this amazing place because there are so many classic maps available, so many incredible armor customizations, and lapsed Halo fans don't know about it. Like, it's not well marketed, and it's a shame because like you have just a top tier Halo experience there waiting for you now, and it's just nobody seems to know, and it's kind of a bummer.
Have they broadened? Because I played briefly when the PvE came out, and it was just King of the Hill on like a couple maps. Has that been broadened at all, or?
I don't know, Sam.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know. I know that I don't know if they've broadened like the game types, but they've added more maps and like different ways you can like. There's more content to the PvE stuff. But the big thing, you let me go on a rant real quick. The netcode improvements are game changing. I mean, I think I put it in like a YouTube short or I put it out on Threads or whatever. But like, it feels like such a different game. It could fundamentally change HCS. Like, it is a very different game where my headshots land, my melees feel punchier, my splatters feel like they're meant to actually feel like I'm not just randomly missing people. I mean, in terms of Halo Infinite's lifespan, this is the best it's ever felt, and it gets better every single time that I play. In terms of content, in terms of the networking, like everything just keeps getting better. I'm so happy with it, but I just wish, like Luke said, more people would be jumping in to play it. Because like it does feel like it's almost too little too late, but it's like too much too late almost, where it's like they've done so much. It's great.
Agreed.
Nice. That's good to hear.
Agreed. Nerd Chat asks in
I'm very
chat.
disappointed in your answer.
Well, Nerd Chat says, what is the best fast food friend chicken sandwich? I don't know what the fast food friend part means, but
I mean, there's only
Fried
one
chicken.
correct answer.
Fried
for
chicken
Xbox
sandwich.
Pants, right? There's only one correct answer.
There is only one correct, and Luke knows it.
The double down, of course.
there's what's a double? I'm unfamiliar with this nebulous, strange thing.
Oh my god!
I don't
it is
actually know
not.
if that's
the
chicken.
front door.
Let's be clear. We don't actually know that the double down is chicken.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
All right, all right.
I'll stand by
when
that.
the
too.
double down comes back, I will eat and film me eating that horrendous abomination of a sandwich.
What if you actually start to like really like it?
Then I will hate myself because I get locked in on something. It's something I do called perseverating. I get stuck on something and I don't exit it until I can't explain why or whatnot. But like it happens with games, it happens with food, it happens with movies, it happens with the same joke to my wife all the time. Like she really puts up with a lot. And so if I get locked in on it, oh no. So I just have to hope that I truly despise it.
It's gonna be like Squidward, like in the Krabby Patties.
Oh no, you're right. I really could. Like there is a world where I like a double down and I don't want to live in it.
You're gonna turn it into end movie White Goodman if you like it.
Ugh,
Sitting there with the crumbs all over you.
we could get this pizza chicken. Once for my students, I filmed me eating pineapple pizza, and it was bad. And you people,
I'm not a fan either.
There's some lines you just don't cross.
Thank you. Well, gents, I think that's a great place to stop. I am so grateful to you all for being here on the first kind of live. Like this let me test out the systems, know what to expect ahead of time. Obviously, we have people in chat, which I wasn't expecting, and I'm really grateful to see so many of you guys here. Nerd Chat, Savarito, Free Candy. I don't think I know you, Free Candy. What's up? Good to see you. Nisa was in here. Yeah, Free Candy in the van. We saw Ellery and Krista and Silence. I first stopped by. Court Lalonde was here. I hope I'm not missing anybody, but I'm just
My bro, Mean Muggin.
Oh, was he here? I didn't.
I know Mean Muggin.
Yes,
I don't know Mean Muggin. Do I know Mean Muggin?
No.
No.
Oh.
In another Discord that we don't know exists.
That's right. There are no other Discord.
Word of mouth.
Yeah.
So before I have you guys plug your socials, I'll say to anybody who's watching this live or catches it later on, because this is new, if you've ever had if you are new to XEP, please feel free to hit the like button, subscribe to the content. If you ever want to support channel memberships are a thing, as is patreon.com/Xbox Expansion Pass. It's just another way if that's something you're interested in. But more than anything, we just appreciate you supporting XEP because it's been a really great journey so far, and I'm happy to keep going on it. So this was exciting for me to get to do, and I'm honored you guys joined me. Clint, you just started a new show. Would you let people know where to find it and where to find you?
Sure. You can find me over on Threads. That's where I'm mostly active. You can find me at Spreading the Nerd for the actual podcast, or at Ryuketsu2043. And thank you very much for having me. This was awesome, especially with like the chat involved and stuff. I didn't know that was coming, and then I saw a little tab there, so that's awesome.
It was cool. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Really cool. Really cool. Silkanet, where can we find you?
Everywhere at Silkanet. I don't have a big presence in social media, but mostly on Threads nowadays.
Okay, cool.
And Discord.
Thank you. And yeah, and Discord, because you're very active there with us, and that's amazing. Jam Pack Sam.
Yeah, I mean, you said it yourself. Like, you can find me Jam Pack Sam everywhere. I will instead throw my self plug away, and I just want to thank you guys and like the Discord and the people that are watching. Like, the amount of joy that talking to you guys and hanging out on Threads and Discord throughout the week, like, it keeps me sane some days. So, like, thanks for that, because you guys rock. Happy to be here. And always just grateful for the show and Luke and Logan and everybody. So thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man. That's awesome. Rick, aka Butch4969, the man with the almost good opinion on shooters. What you got for us?
It's only almost good because it's amazing. Yeah, but Butch4969 everywhere, Twitter. I almost said Facebook again, but obviously not there. Steam, PlayStation, Xbox, whatever. I still, throw myself into the fiery pits of hell that is Twitter, as opposed to jumping over like you guys. but otherwise, I am hanging on the Discord and plugging away at Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So I'll probably do that for another 6 years at the rate we're at. Oh, and I do want to give a shout out, like you said, to Clint. Everybody go check out that show. Kicks ass.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Very cool. Very cool. And Captain Logan.
You can find me at all the places at CAPT_LOGUN. Look up the Keelhauled podcast. If you want to get some news about the Sea of Thieves podcast, still doing that on a regular basis. And I guess just come visit us. We're going to be doing live shows now. It's going to be exciting. I can't just tell Luke to start over on stuff, which is going to be amazing. I can't wait to see how he handles live production. It's not anxiety inducing at all.
I'm looking forward to not having to edit for 4 hours a day. That's what I'm looking forward to. So
Fair.
We'll see how that's really a big driving force. But I'll say again to every patron that supported XEP, I was able to make the switch and do the softwares and stuff thanks to you guys. So I appreciate you all. All right, that's going to be it for us. Find us 12 p.m. EST, 9 a.m. PST. This coming Saturday. Have a great rest of your week. Take care, everybody.